Hey guys, Wages World here. It is the 17th of July, 2020. Come at you with a video. I haven't given you guys one here in the past couple of days. I just been having some issues here, and hadn't really had, well, frankly, I haven't really had the time or the energy to kind of get to do this. So I do apologize for that, but it is, in that case, it is what it is. But anyway, we're just going to jump into this real quick because there is quite a bit to cover here. Anyway, this is Enreefs. It says, will CME affect people with pacemakers? I get this question a lot, and it most certainly will. It can. If you guys ever researched even the human resonance, they actually will look at that. Heart doctors and stuff too, they look at that because they know that it affects things. Just like space weather. Space weather does affect things magnetically. Anything that has anything to do with that at all, that can actually reach the surface if there's a big storm of such. Yeah. Now, is there anything we can do to kind of solve that? Probably not. I'm just going to say. There's not a whole lot. I mean, unless there's a huge CME that we know that's coming, there's really no way to dodge that kind of stuff, guys. A solar flare especially. The solar flare is going to be here and gone before we can even do anything about it. Be here and gone in 8 minutes, pretty much. We'll get some lasting effects from that, residual stuff, but the brunt of it will be here within right around 8 minutes. It definitely gets there quick. So, those are the ones that I would be more worried about, but those are also the ones we can't do nothing about. We don't have any, any kind of precursor to those kinds of things other than where sunspots are. If we see an active sunspot, we always watch it, but then again, we only get 8 minutes. So what does it really even do other than to say, hey, we're aware of it, if something does happen, well, that's what it was, that kind of thing. But with CMEs, it's a little different because it takes days for that energy to get here. So we can, kind of, I guess, address it at some level if you really wanted to. If it's a big one, very, very powerful one, again, was it really going to affect somebody with a pacemaker to the point where it's going to have them have health issues? I don't know. I can't answer that. That would be a question for your doctor, to be honest with you. They would probably know this. This is probably something that's come up. You're not the first one that's asked this. I guaranteed. They ask me about it all the time, so I know that they're asking their doctors. Can space weather or what have you, human resonance especially, when that stuff's getting all jacked up, man. They do pay attention to it. So just know that. For instance, around being around microwaves and things back in the past, my grandpa had a pacemaker, and he wasn't allowed to be around a microwave that was running. Now I'm pretty sure that the technology there has changed a little bit now, but back then there was no way. You stayed away from microwaves. So if that says anything. But yeah, so we'll move on. Okay, we're going to check out the human resonance, via Mr. MBB3's page here. Here's the most recent capture, and obviously you see a couple little spikes there. It was pretty quiet for a few days as far as having spikes, but the overall frequency is risen. I've talked about that at length now. Guys, that should be considered our new norm. I really do think that. At least at this time, let me get the brush out here real quick so I can show you what I'm talking about. 783 here, we've always had that one. It always stays there. Now, this other one is now staying also. It doesn't never go away. And these other ones that are basically in increments of 4, rising in like increments of 4 here, it looks like. It just seems like they're becoming more and more consistently there. And, this is one of the things we could point to say our frequency has risen. And it's staying that way. So, but as far as these vibrations and these other spikes and stuff that's going on here, most certainly is, there's a couple different spikes there. So you guys were having issues with ringing in your ears, not feeling quite right, that kind of thing. This could have been the reason. So, Okay, guys, this is the Geoelectric field model, and as you can see, we're having some shots coming at us here. I think this is probably from coronal hole. I'm not gonna, put the whole bank on that one, unless we had some. We did have a couple decent shots off the sun, and they look to be CMEs, but we'll look at those here in a minute. I didn't really see any solar flares, so I don't know that. I guess it could have been a flare, could have been a small one, but this looks more to me like coronal hole type of solar wind. But we'll take a look at it. I could be wrong on that, but this is definitely more active than what it typically is. I think we can all agree to that. You can see how it's, we're getting little pulses of energy coming through, and that is pretty consistent with increasing in solar wind, or like I said, small flare activity can sometimes do this. Small CMEs can do this. Any kind of weather like that can do what we're seeing right here. And this isn't like extremely intense, but it is more than what we normally see. And I do know that our solar wind has increased, and it's been up to around 400 and staying there, which would be pointing towards a coronal hole that was a longer lasting coronal hole stream. Because we had been hanging for a long time between 250 and 300. At the high end, 350 was kind of our norm, but there for a day or two, it seemed to go to 400 and stay there, and even get even higher. But we'll go look at that too. Just to clarify here, this is the Geoelectric field model. I don't think I said that. Please ignore that. That right there, what you're looking at, guys, is space weather's effect on our electrical grid, or the chances of it affecting our electrical grid. Basically, I say electrical grid, but it's any artificial electronics, like transformers, wire, anything man-made. It's artificial. It's not a natural thing, okay? So it could be anything, really, just to be honest. Anything electronic, you can pretty much throw it into that. But that's what you're looking at here. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, guys, this is NOAA. This is Space Weather Prediction Center, and as you can see, the wind speed's up 391. Now that's higher than what we normally see. Okay, now I don't think we've had any solar flares, because if we look at the X-ray flux, there isn't really much going on there. Okay, it's actually kind of hanging kind of low. We do have some active areas on the front of the sun facing us that are kind of crackling a little bit. That could be giving us some energy, I guess. But even the geomagnetic activity level here, guys, is pretty much dead normal. So that is what it is. That will rise when we get hit with solar flares or CMEs, or just fast solar wind or high dense solar wind. Okay, but yeah. So we go over here and we look. Now this gets pretty interesting. Now I know people are looking at this, and anybody that's looked at this before, you guys know that the yellow's the wind speed, and the orange is the density. Well, where's the density? Right? That's probably what you're thinking. And I thought the same thing when I first looked at it. Let's address the wind speed here first. Okay? First off, the range of it is about 200 to 450 there. But it's hanging right around 400. Guys, normally it's been, for the past year, if not longer, it's been hanging right around 300 as a normal kind of basis. Okay? Not to say that can't change. A few years back, it was hanging right around 400. So this does vary from time to time. And what we look at is really when we get the high spikes. Okay? That's usually what we're looking at when we're looking at, like a solar storm or whatever. But what I want you guys to look at here on the densities, I don't want people freaking out thinking we don't have no density. Okay? And the difference is here, see the range? 1 to 10. Okay, a lot of days we come over here, and that range will be 0.1 to 1, and then 10. Okay? So that whole range between 0.1 and 1 isn't even there. So if it was below that, it wouldn't even read on this chart. So that's probably what's going on here. Not to say that isn't extremely low dense material, because it is. Okay? Anything below 1 like that, that's extremely low dense plasma. It just is. And that's probably why the wind speed itself is up. That happens. Okay, and I said that a bunch. If the wind speed goes up, usually the density goes down, and vice versa. Now, if they both spike at the same time, then we're talking CMEs and high solar wind and solar storms and those kinds of things. But when they're going opposite of each other, that's pretty normal. So when the wind speed's high, the density's going to be low, and vice versa, like I said. Usually. Now, again, we've got to pay attention to the spikes, and that's what we look for. Now, see, I've seen this on the ACE data before, too. Look at this. You see where the orange is down here? See how it dropped all the way off the graph? Okay? That's because it's trying to show you that, yes, there is still density. It's just way down at the bottom. Why they got it? I think they got a flaw in their tool there. The way that they've done that. The way that their algorithm's working, I guess. I really don't know for sure. But as you can see over here on the Enlil, you're going to notice that, this is moving up and down pretty good here. Something to take of note right here. You see this right here? That right there is showing you the conditions at stereo A. And it's showing you a high spike of wind right around the 22nd, 21st. Well, there was a CME that was fired that direction. And we're going to go take a look at it. But there was another CME that was fired off just a few hours ago that the CME tracker hasn't even updated for yet. But we'll go take a look at that too. Alright guys, I got you over at Seeds, and this is yesterday on the 16th, okay? I'll take you over to the CME tracker here in a minute and show it to you. This is not going to hit us, but it did go between us and stereo A. Okay? It's going to hit stereo A. It's closer to stereo A than what it is to us. And what that means is Earth is here, stereo A is kind of over here. Alright? So it's going to, the way that this looks, anything that fires off on that left side of the sun, we don't know if it's actually going towards the back or towards the front or just directly off the side, because these are two-dimensional models. Okay, it's not three-dimensional. So we have to look at 2 or 3 different models to get a good direction of what's going on. Anything that goes off the left side of there could be going anywhere on this side at all. It could be coming at us. It could actually be firing. Let me show you here. Oops. Let's just knock that off for a minute. Sorry. It could be, it could be coming, say the Earth's here, and even though it looks like it's going directly off to the left, it could be coming more at this angle. So as it spreads out, because that's what they do, it can actually graze us or even come right at us. So it's just hard to know the direction there, but that's why we look at 2 or 3 different tools. But this is the one that fired off yesterday, and the CME tracker does show it not going to hit us. We'll have to wait and see, but it does. I don't think that this one's really going to give us any issue. Okay, but then we look to today, and the CME tracker hasn't updated to this one yet. Now, obviously, that one's going off the other side. Okay, and again, like the same thing applies. Okay, even though it looks like it's going directly this way, there's no way to tell just by looking at this if this thing ain't coming this direction or even back that direction, even further away from us. So we don't know, right? So we go look at stereo A, and stereo A hasn't really updated for this day yet. So we'll look at that later on and tomorrow. We got 3 or 4 days to look at this, guys. Okay, like I said, CMEs, they take 3 to 4, sometimes 5 days. I've even seen them take 6 days to get here. Okay? So we just have to keep that in mind. It's nothing to be freaking out about or anything anyway. These aren't huge ones. These aren't full halos, what we call full halos. We've seen, you look at these, we've seen in the past, go back to September 2017, you'll see a full halo CME or solar flare, all of it, all up in one, man. I mean, it just boom. I mean, it just completely took up the whole screen, guys. It was amazing. But, luckily it didn't, hit us like dead on or anything. So, but anyway, we'll wait and see what the CME tracker shows on that. The one thing that does concern me just a little bit that it might come at us is that you see these other little jets popping out here up underneath it, kind of our way, kind of like typically we would see. That's what we would kind of see if it was something was coming our direction, because what that means is when we have stuff that is, I don't know why I did that. That was ridiculous. Anyway, let's just knock that off. No, I don't want to check that. Stupid thing. And when we see it doing this and seeing little things like this, but we don't see much of nothing else, a lot of times it ends up because that energy is behind this occulter. And if it's behind that occulter, that means it's coming right at us. If we can't see it at all, but yet something came off the sun, that black occulter is blocking it and it's coming right at us. That's what that means. So, or it could be going directly off the back. Those are the 1-2 things. But typically, if we see these things, coming out the sides, kind of even at this angle and stuff, along with this one here, I would assume that something is kind of coming more at this angle. So we're just going to have to watch it. Again, I'm not going to say it's coming at us because I just don't know yet. So we'll just have to watch it, guys. We got some time here. All right, I got you over at SDO. This is our view. And we're going to take a look at the first CME here. You're going to see it pretty easy. Okay? See that right there? It just happened right there. But you're going to see it. It's going to kind of flick like that direction. Okay? Let me, I'll zoom in a little bit here and see if we can't see it a little bit better. But it happens really fast. And that's pretty typical. You see that right there? So that was that first CME that I showed you guys. Now the second CME, I'm not really seeing a whole lot on this yet. Okay? I don't think it's got enough time here to show it to us yet. We'll take a look at it here. We'll let it run through a few times. But it would be towards the end of the time lapse. Now you can also see on the front of the sun here that you got a couple bright regions. And they're not full-blown sunspots yet. But they are a little bit more active than the areas around them. So we are going to keep an eye on those and see what happens with those. Those could, develop into some sunspots. I've shown you guys time and time again how fast they become sunspots and how fast they deteriorate to nothing. That can happen within the course of just a couple hours. All right? We've seen that before so many times. And also I have to stress that you can have CMEs, solar flares, all of the above without a sunspot. The sun can blow off wherever it wants to for whatever reason it thinks it needs to. That's just what I've come to understand and realize with this, looking at this thing so much, that we've seen stuff like that happen. So you can't just not look at all. It could look completely blank. That's what we call a blank disk, when there is no sunspots facing Earth, because it looks like a disk. It's not. They're not calling it a disk. They're saying it's a disk because that's what it looks like, because it's a two-dimensional model, right? I've had people say, well, NASA calls it a disk. Well, there's da-da-da-da, and they go off about that. And it's like, they're saying that, it's like a term that they use. And as they're not saying that the sun is a disk. I want people to understand that. So, anyway, when we see this, we have to just watch. I mean, there's really not much to do, guys. I wish there was. I wish there was more that we could do to prepare for something like this, but the preparing comes before this even happens. You can't wait for it to happen. If you're concerned about your electronics and stuff at your house to the level that you think you might need to address it if we have an issue from the sun, you should already be doing that. If you're worried about that. If you're not, don't. I mean, here in my house, I've taken minimal precautions to stuff like that. Okay? I'm just going to be straight up honest. Some people take it a little bit further. Some people take it really far. And there's no right answer there. Okay? Something may never happen to the extent that we might have to, count on those kinds of things. But then on the other hand, it does give somebody a peace of mind if they are prepared for such an event. So you have to figure out where you're at. You decide what you want. You decide how you feel about certain situations. Don't let anybody else influence what you think you need to do. You do it what you think you need to do. That's what I tell people. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. It's going to affect you directly, whatever you decide to do. So it doesn't matter if I think you're doing the right thing or not. You need to think you're doing the right thing. So just take that, okay? Hey guys, we got a visit from Steve. Who's Steve? Let me tell you who Steve is. Anyway, Steve is this right here. What you're looking at here, this is over at spaceweather.com. Guys, go over and check them out. I mean, they do a good job over there. I said that a bunch. I visit there daily, just to let you guys know. I recommend anybody go over there and check it out. So, I always leave a link whenever I use their stuff anyway, so it's always there in my description box. It's as simple as spaceweather.com anyway. So you can type that in any Google search and you'll get there. But anyway, what you're looking at here, guys, is you see these green streaks. This started happening. They didn't really know what was going on. I think a few years back is when they first started discovering these kinds of things, trying to figure out. I think they just used to assume that it was just Aurora, but it's not. Okay, what it is it's like it says right here. It's caused by hot 3,000 degrees Celsius ribbons of gas flowing through Earth's magnetosphere at speeds exceeding 13,000 miles per hour. That's 6 kilometers per second. Now, yeah. So you can, look at that, and that's what's causing it, just to let you know. So sometimes what happens is when we get these solar storms and things like that, some of that stuff will penetrate deep enough in that it will cause those kinds of things to happen. And that tells you exactly what it is. It says it was some geomagnetic storms, often alongside a type of green aurora known as picket fence. Okay. Also shown in Thomas's photo. This is probably like a once in a lifetime type of thing photo. You got a comet, you got Steve there, you got auroras. I mean, it's all there in one. I mean, this guy was on it. It's awesome. That's all I can say. I mean, I'm taken aback by stuff like this because the timing of him being there at that specific time and for all that just to kind of fall right in there like that. Not to mention it's just beautiful anyway just to look at. But, yeah. So, guys, that's what that is. Steve came to visit. That's what they're calling it here. But that's what they call Steve. It had the abbreviation. If you guys see, it's got all capital letters. They just like we've all seen it before. That each letter means something else. I can't remember exactly what the actual definition means, but that's essentially what you're looking at there. Those green ribbons right there. It's 3,000, was it say 3,000? Yeah, 3,000 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now we got to keep in mind that 100 degrees Celsius is what water boils at, or something like that. I think that's what it is. Am I correct there? I could be wrong there. I'm not sure. I have to go look, but I'm pretty sure that 100 degrees Celsius is what water boils at. We're not talking about Fahrenheit here. We're talking about Celsius. For those of us over here in America, you can translate that and convert that, and you're going to get a good idea of how hot that actually is. Guys, that's what's out in space, just so you know. We often look at space like it's just ice cold, and I think that sometimes we get it way wrong. But, yeah. So I just think that that's really cool. I thought you guys might like to see that. Also, let's just look at the sun here real quick. You can see some patchy coronal holes there. You guys can see the bright spot there. That's probably giving us a little bit of X-ray increase. I don't see any kind of big flaring or anything going on right now. But again, we're going to just have to watch that the CME and stuff that did fire off the sun. So mentioning the CME here, I did want to take you to the CME tracker here and show you what, this is the first one, okay? You guys can see how it's not coming at us, okay? We might get a little bit of a ripple effect. You can kind of see it might glance us a little bit, okay? I don't think it's going to. If it is, it'll be something so minimal, we'll probably never even know it, okay? But you can see where it's clearly going to hit stereo A, or come really close to it. I don't think it's going to take it right on the chin, but again, this wasn't a real huge one anyway. What's interesting is this thing has not updated to show us the other one yet. Okay? When it updates to show us the other one, this one will probably won't even be on there. They'll take it completely off there. They do that a lot. I don't know why. I think they should leave them both there, but they don't. Not all the time. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But anyway, I would look, and something else, guys, and Mr. MBB3 has been pointing this out, and he's right, that all the planets are on one side of the sun right now. That doesn't happen very often, okay? They're all basically, you can see, even in our inner solar system, you can see, if you drew a line right here, you know, you got Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars all right here. And if you extended it on out, you would see the rest of the planets, they're all, even Pluto. For those people that don't want to consider Pluto a planet, it's there anyway on that side of the sun. So we would be foolish to think that that doesn't affect anything. Okay? It does. We're big balls of magnets out there, guys. That's what these things, I mean, we're all connected to the sun. So when we're all on one side, I mean, just look at our inner solar system here. Look at all the lines of magnetism so close to each other. Do you not think that when things are that close, things aren't going to get jacked up a little bit or going to affect each other? I think it'd be foolish for us not to take that in consideration. I do think we need to. And I do think that it does. Well, it's been proven that it does. Certain planet alignments and things, they cause certain things. And so, I mean, that's what I'm saying here, guys. So we're just going to keep an eye on what's going on. So, anyway, God bless. Yeshua saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid. Guys, I did want to mention this. There was a big earthquake over in Papua, okay? Papua New Guinea. Guys, I got quite a few listeners actually over there. Hope you guys are safe. This is an area of the world where you expect this. We see this quite often. You know, most people know that this is going to happen. But it sucks when you see one of a 7.0. And that's after it's been downgraded. I've seen some initial reports of this thing coming in like a 7.8. Now, the difference between a 7.8 or a 6.8 to a 7, guys, it's astronomically different. The higher you go up, the 0.1s and 0.2s become so dramatically different that it really makes a difference. So a 7.8 versus a 7.0 is a big deal. A 4.8 versus a 4.0 isn't such a big deal. Okay, it's still a deal, but it's not as big. Okay, I do want to show you guys this though. We are going to take a look at this real quick. We're gonna look into here. We're gonna see if you see the interactive map there. I always take you guys down to the pager button because that's where we get to see if there's been loss of life or doesn't look like. Yeah, man, I'm not sure if anybody lost their life here, but it does look like there might have been. There don't look like too much economic loss either. So, you know, that's a good thing. Okay, so that's what I would be more concerned about than anything. But that did happen. And it did happen right around some of that solar weather coming in. Not to say that that's what caused it, but it is definitely part of the formula. So, anyway, God bless. Yeshua saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid.